Hey guys, welcome to our first segment of this series. This segment's going to be about what we like to call the choke. So the choke refers to a small area of the map, it's usually pretty thin, that team fights usually occur in, that usually give one team a huge advantage due to compositional team fights. So if you can see here on this map that I've labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major choke points and 5 minor choke points. So these are not all of the choke points, they're just some examples. So I'm going to go into why you want to stay away from these and when you want to use these to your advantage and what they can lead to if you use them properly or improperly. So let's start off with why you usually want to avoid them. So let's say it's 25 minutes into the game. Your team is LeBlanc and 4 other people with no AoE. And the enemy team is Ziggs mid and Ezreal AD carry, Sona support, and the other people are kind of irrelevant. So you guys get into a skirmish at 25 minutes in, and things are looking good. You look like you're going to win this fight, but next thing you know it, you're standing in the choke. Ziggs throws his ultimate, Ezreal throws his ultimate, and a fight that you guys thought you were going to win, you end up losing because you stood in the choke. So when you stand in such a small area here, it makes you very, very susceptible to area of effect attacks, and it takes a huge advantage from you and gives it to your opponent. So these small areas make the efficiency of your opponent's spells really, 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 really good. So, for example, let's say Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb, if he uses at you while you're mid lane, it hits one person, so its efficiency is 100%. But if you've got 3 people in an area, well, now his ultimate damage does 3 times as much damage because he's hitting 3 people. So when you're playing against a team with tons of AoE, you want to avoid these areas. Likely, you're going to probably lose the game if you fight in the choke. However, if your team has tons of AoE, like you're playing Ziggs, or you're playing Ezreal, or you're playing even something like Renekton or a Sona support, these champions are really, really good in the choke, and you want to, if you can, force fights in those areas, because even if you're actually losing the game, you can turn the tide of a game by utilizing the chokes properly. And fighting in the choke and successfully executing a fight in the choke can not only grant you gold from winning the fight, but actually grant you objectives as well, like Baron Nashor or the Dragon. So let's throw up a hypothetical situation. So it's 30 minutes in, you're down about 5,000 gold, and it's looking kind of grim. So the enemy team wanders over with 3 or 4 people to go ward the Baron so that they can get vision on it so when they want to go take it. However, you and your team have strategically placed yourselves right here in this area or right here in this area. And the enemy team sees you and you try to force them back. So you poke them out a little bit, or you just kind of charge at them and kind of scare them away. Even if they're ahead, if they weren't planning to engage in a fight, they're going to try and flee. So they originally come in this way, you come in from this way and force them into this choke hold right here. Well, now you're in a good spot. You get a good ultimate from Sona, you get some nice AoE damage from Renekton, get an Ezreal ultimate in there, anything really, and a game that you were losing by 5,000 gold can swing back in your favor real quickly, because if you get a really good fight off, you can swing right back around to get Baron Nashor, and you've got 4 or 5 kills in the bank, Baron Nashor buff, and you can start to recoup your gold deficit by taking down some towers utilizing this buff. Like I said before, these 5 areas are major chokes, and that's usually because if you fight near them and you lose in them or you win in them, either you're going to get the buff if you win the fight in the choke area, or you're going to lose the buff, like Baron Nashor, if you lose in the choke area. On this side, similar thing. You give up a fight in either of these chokes, Dragon is definitely the enemy team's. One thing you can try to do is if you absolutely have to walk through this choke area, try to avoid doing it when the buffs are up. If Dragon is down, then it's not as risky, but if Dragon is up, you're really playing with fire. No pun intended. So you see I've marked these small blue areas on the map here. These are minor chokes. Usually because if you fight in them, chances are you may lose it if the enemy has the AoE advantage, and you're going to lose a buff. You may lose a couple of camps, and you're obviously going to lose the skirmish. A couple of fights in these areas, and you're really pushing your luck on trying to win this game. So you can try and stay away from those areas, or again, if you have the the AoE compositional advantage, you can definitely fight in those areas. Another thing about the choke is that it's not just related to AoE. If you have a poke comp, which you're just throwing Nidalee Spears, Ezreal Qs, any kind of poke whatsoever, these are good areas to force people into. It makes it difficult for them to dodge, especially if your poke has a wide hitbox. Then when they weave right, they weave into a wall and you land the poke. Really good areas to fight in if you've got a poke or an AoE comp. So I know this section was kind of small, but this was just an introduction to our series, and I hope you like it. If you have any comments, please let me know. Thanks.